Hey there, everyone. Welcome to some more of Brian's Narratives. These are true life stories that I'm bringing to you with the hopes that you'll give us some of your advice. Let's get started with story number 1. I'm a female, I'm 41. I am an accountant and run a successful firm. I'm quite well off, and since I'm not married and don't have children, I've set up trust funds for my brother. He's 43, his 3 children, and my best friend's daughter. I have a younger sister, 34, who is also, but I've not set up anything for her children, and here's why. When I was 25, happily married, I went through some ordeal, and my sister moved in with my then husband and me to take care of me. A month later, I found out she and my husband were hooking up. He left me for her. I moved in with my brother and his then girlfriend, now wife. They had turned their attic into a small suite where I lived rent-free for 3 years. I finally put myself together, started working, and built up my business. What made me hate my sister and her offspring so much was that I overheard her when she was caring for me telling my then husband, like anybody in the right mind would believe that somebody wanted to roofie her. And they were laughing. I am not physically attractive, I might add. That comment destroyed me more than the fact that she was sleeping with my husband or that she proceeded to have children with him. She didn't believe me. She repeated what my attackers were saying. I haven't seen or spoken to her ever since. It has been over 15 years now, and I've never seen her children either. My mother called me the other day pleading on her behalf that I should forgive her, saying the children are innocent. Now, I'm very conflicted between immense guilt that I may be playing favorites and immense hatred towards my sister and, by extension, her children. Any advice? P.S. My sister, from what I've heard, is that one who truly could use some financial help. Okay, so here's a comment from a listener. You already gave her your husband, now she wants your money. You've already been more than generous. She made her bed, or rather your bed, and now she has to lie in it. The kids who are literal strangers to you in the first place can ask their mom why they didn't get a trust fund. So that was one of the comments. Now, let me continue here with this story. I thought I'd answer some questions and give a little update about something that happened yesterday. Now, my dad is still alive, but I haven't seen him in about 15 years. Mom said he couldn't face it all. My brother supported me and paid for everything until I started working again. It took me 3 years to pull myself together. My sister-in-law took a leave of absence to stay with me for the first year, so my brother had to work extra shifts to support us. Now, my best friend, who passed away 2 years ago, is the one who got me my first assignment. She convinced her company to hire me, and it took off from there. Her daughter is 15 now and lives with my brother since her grandparents are very old and her father is out of the picture. I couldn't let her live with me because I'm not sure how to take care of people. Yes, I do believe my sister was a victim as well. She was assigned to take care of me when she was a kid herself. Maybe she didn't want to believe me because it was easier, or maybe she truly didn't believe me. She adopted the innocent until proven guilty stance, and since none of them were convicted, she thought she was in the right. Sometimes I want to call her and ask why she didn't believe me and try to make her understand, but I know it wouldn't change her mind. Now, many people think I'm being harsher on my sister than on my ex-husband. I got a lot of "it takes two to tango" messages. No, I don't blame him for the affair because she was 17 or 18 at the time and he was the adult. I just haven't spared him a thought or an emotion since that divorce. He, unlike my sister, believed me. Now, my ex-husband is an alcoholic, and both he and my sister suffered financially because of that. I know nothing about her current husband, other than he's the father of her youngest child. My parents are very poor and couldn't support my sister financially, which is one of the ongoing conflicts we have. They say I'm selfish for not helping, but I have never cared to do more than what was really urgent, like paying off their mortgage when Dad got laid off and covering his medical bills after his strokes. Other than that, I haven't felt the need to improve their situation. Yes, I know I'm being unfair by calling the kids brats. I'm just being honest about how I truly view them. And I've already stated that they're innocent and don't deserve the hate I harbor towards them. Now for the updates. My communication with Mom, or anyone else for that matter, except my brother, sister-in-law, and a few friends, is to let it go to voicemail. Listen later and text back. Yesterday, I called her directly and told her that I'm not going to give my sister's offsprings anything and that they should stop trying because there's no hope. She got mad and started yelling. This time, I didn't hang up. I let her rant, calling me all the usual bitter, jealous, vindictive, blah, blah, blah. You know, she told me she couldn't understand how I could be so heartless and that the brats are technically my kids. I asked her what she meant, and she answered that if I hadn't chosen to terminate my pregnancy, they would be half-siblings. I forgot to mention that I was pregnant at the time and had an abortion because I was in no state to have children. I realized then that hanging up when she started yelling should have been the right move. I told her I finally understood why Dad and she resented me. She started to panic and tried to explain herself, but I thanked her for finally being honest with me, and I hung up. I know my parents saw me as damaged goods and felt repulsed by me, but now I think I even know why. Instead of caring for me themselves, they dumped the burden on my little teenage sister. I don't know what to make of it. I don't think I could hate them more than I already did, but somehow I do. I know they're deeply religious, but how can they hate me for something I have no power over? Wow, what a sad story right there. Let's move on to story number 2. Here's the original post. I'm a female, I'm 30. I don't have the best relationship with my husband's mom. Since day one, she tried to make remarks and compare me to her. She then tried to get on my good side and started overly praising everything I do, sometimes even copying me. Like one time, she literally dyed her hair purple, just like mine. And when everyone pointed out how ridiculous she looked, she actually blamed me and accused me of trying to make a joke out of her. So anyways, my husband and I took 2 weeks off from work to go visit some places out of the country. Tourism, in other words. Thing is, I was the only one who saved up for the trip. My husband was responsible for booking the tickets. My husband's mom wanted to come along and threw temper tantrums when I said no. She called, she texted, she sent people to talk to me about letting her come. Even threatened to call the police and make some complaint up to get us to stay if she couldn't come. My husband said we should just take her, but I told him he was wrong to tell her about the trip in the first place. He gave me an ultimatum, said he wouldn't go if she can't come, and I told him I'd gladly call his bluff, which made him take his word back and say, fine, I'll tell her to stop it because we won't take her. Things got quieter, suspiciously quieter. The day the trip came and we got to the airport at 2 p.m. My husband was walking ahead of me and he was looking left and right like he was looking for someone. I asked him, but he didn't respond. He led me to the waiting area, and first thing I saw was his mom standing there with her luggage. I froze in my spot. I felt a cold wave washing over me, and I was absolutely fuming inside. She and my husband were hugging. That's when I quietly turned around and started walking towards the exit. My husband followed me while shouting at me to stop. He tried to stop me, but I told him off the harshest way possible. He tried to say I was overreacting and that his mom was there anyway, and I should let it go and not mess the trip up for all of us. I told him he and his mom could still go and that I was going home. I went home and sobbed into my dog's fur for several minutes. Turned out he booked her a ticket without me knowing. An hour later, he came home yelling and raging about how pathetic and spiteful I was to walk out and go home and ruin the trip last minute. I told him he caused this to happen. He said that I was being so hard on his mom, it's ridiculous. I refused to fight anymore, but he kept on berating me, then called my family to tell them that the trip was canceled and that it was because of me. Now, my family said that I shouldn't have ruined it for myself and should have sucked it up and done my best to enjoy. Did I really overreact here? I'd love to know. Okay, so let me give you an update because a lot of things have happened. I don't know where to begin. It's been an absolute nightmare recently, and I feel like I was losing my sanity for a while. So for more details about my situation, here we go. I have to admit that my husband's mom favors him over all the siblings. This affected his relationship with them and me as well. He's never seen an issue with how differently his mom treats him. It bothered me and made me feel uncomfortable. Now, the whole dynamic made me feel uncomfortable, to be honest. Going low contact has never been an option. Like he has to see her or call her every day. Most of his siblings don't talk to him, and I 100% believe it's because of his mom's favoritism. Like I said, he does bear some blame for not seeing how wrong this is to this day. Now, in many instances, I found myself making excuses for his behavior. Even in my post, I did it spontaneously and don't know why. I guess it's because of how much I love him and because I really wanted to be able to work these type of things out without letting them affect our marriage. Regarding what happened with the trip, he tried to have a talk with me, and most of what he said came from a place of blame towards me. I just couldn't continue with this argument. I told him I needed space and that I would be going to stay with my sister for a while. He didn't take it well. He literally got up from the couch and opened the door, telling me to go right then. In that moment, and seeing how he was still not even anywhere near understanding what he has done to me, made things perfectly clear to me. I just pictured years and years of my life being lived like that, and I was like, no way. I can't do it. Can't take any more of it, especially when he keeps focusing on being right every time. His mom can do no wrong. I'm always the aggressive, crazy, jealous, pathetic overreactor. All these people's opinions, advice, and concerns were like a spark, like the wake-up call I really needed. Though I wish that I didn't get this far, but what's done is done. Right now, I'm staying with my sister. I brought my dog with me as well. He sent me his last message telling I'm the one choosing to end what we had together, but I believe it's the other way around, especially with how he keeps making his mom the victim in this situation. It's became clear now that we keep going in circles with no end in reach, and I'm just exhausted and I'm overwhelmed. I'm not mad at him and don't expect him to change, but at least I'm giving him options to decide what's best for me and my future, even if it's separation and divorce. A big thank you to those who have reached out with resources that I feel very lucky to have come across. Thank you for those who are commenting to lift me up and encourage me. Just wanted to give you an update since many of you have asked. Story number 3, I'm a 39-year-old female and our family ordered Chinese dinner to be delivered. When the delivery driver came to the door, my daughter, who is 16, was taking the cat upstairs to put her in the room because he always tries to eat the food. Now my son, who's 13, loudly says, "Make sure to hide the cat from the Chinese guy," as I'm at the door getting the food from the Chinese delivery driver. He very obviously heard what my son said and was very upset by it. I quickly apologized and took the food. I told my son that racist jokes were completely unacceptable and very wrong, and he refused to admit that he was in the wrong. So later that night, I forced my son to write a sincere apology to the delivery driver. His name is on the receipt, as well as write a 1-page paper on Chinese culture and a 1-page paper on why racism is perpetuated by racist jokes and stereotypes. Then, the next day, I took him to the restaurant, had him read his apology aloud to the delivery driver as well as give him the paper he wrote. The driver was very appreciative of the apology and thanked me for making my son do it. He then told my son about multiple instances where he had faced racist comments and attacks from people while he was a delivery driver. That night, my husband, who's 43, and I got into an argument about me making our son do this. He told me that it was an embarrassment for our son to have to do the apology and that the punishment didn't fit the crime. Now, I told him that it was much more embarrassing for the driver to have to face that kind of racism and racist stereotypes, and that our son would get over the embarrassment. I do not condone any kind of hateful thinking in my house, and the fact that my son said that embarrassed me as well. Now, my husband told me that it was just a joke and it wasn't that big a deal. I feel like I might have overreacted some, but I think it's important to help my son understand what he said was wrong and hurtful. Don't forget to like and follow the narratives, and if you haven't yet, hit that bell button so you're notified every time we put some more narratives up. We've got plenty more coming. Thanks for listening.